Welcome to the Impact Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Beck, and we've got a great episode in store for you today. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about EQ, talking a lot about systems and how you grow and scale your business, and more importantly, how you can really make meaningful connections that help your sales success. And, today we're going to have a sales thought leader and who I consider to be a systems guru in how he builds specific sales systems for the companies that he's built for himself. But before we get to all of that, I want to spend some time talking about the importance of, how you look at the value of your time and what you focus on within your business. This is going to be one of the topics that you're going to hear in this next segment coming up with our guest, but you really need to be focusing on, as a sales professional, whether you are an entrepreneur, a coach, or a consultant, you really need to be focused on the highest and best use of your time. We're going to talk a lot about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, about, 20% of your income, 80% of your income comes from 20% of your activities. Well, in sales in particular, it's really critical that you focus on the right high value activities to generate your success. And sometimes that's building relationships. Sometimes it's building systems. Most importantly, sometimes it's just understanding where you are emotionally in the process so you can focus on the right things to take that next step forward. So this episode is really going to uncover a lot. Our guest is just a phenomenal entrepreneur. Starting with one $1,600 car, he actually reinvested in himself and built it into 15 car dealerships, grossing $50 million in annual sales. He was also the chief operating officer of a renewable energy company. He served on the board for a humanitarian water company. He's built multiple training programs like You Have a Book in You, Master Askers, Wishes to Riches, and Formula EQ. He actually created the Ask for Sales process featured in the 2020 #1 Amazon sales and selling book, Ask, the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And he is the co-author of How to Be Up in Down Times, co-written with Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul and Mitzi Perdue from Perdue Farms and Sheraton Hotels. Now he focuses on building his two companies and two things, people and businesses. His companies are Formula EQ and Operations X. Coming up next to the Impact Sales Podcast, our guest, Preston Weekes. Talk to you soon. Hi, this is Joe Beck with The Sales Activist. Would you like to 3X your sales results in 6 months? That's right. Would you like to triple your sales results in the next 6 months? If you would, I'd like to help. For well over 30 years, I've helped entrepreneurs, coaches, and consultants generate consistent, dynamic sales success. Started in the corporate world working with sales teams and individuals, and moved into the entrepreneur space many years ago. And I'd like to help you through my ISM system, the Impact Sales Mastery System, to help you triple your sales results in 6 months, guaranteed. To learn more, just text the word sales to the number 321-421-5213. That's sales to 321-421-5213. You don't have to settle for average sales results. I'll talk to you soon. Welcome back to the Impact Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Beck, and I am so excited about this episode. With me in the studio, close personal friend, associate, amazing sales thought leader. I'm going to do his intro now, starting with one $1,600 car. He reinvested in himself and built it into 15 car dealerships, grossing $50 million in annual sales. He was the chief operating officer of a renewable energy company. He served on the board for a humanitarian water company. He built training programs like You Have a Book in You, Master Askers, Wishes to Riches, and Formula EQ. He created the Ask for Sales process featured in the 2020 #1 Amazon best-selling book, Ask, the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And he is the co-author of How to Be Up in Down Times, co-written with Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul and Mitzi Perdue from Perdue Farms and Sheraton Hotels. Now he focuses on building two things, people and businesses, with his companies, Formula EQ and Operations X. Please welcome to the Impact Sales Podcast, Preston Weekes. Hey, Preston, how are you?
What's up, Joe? Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's actually an absolute honor to be on your show. And so I'm so happy to be here to support you and your viewers and hopefully provide some information that can help people to make an impact on their sales, right?
Absolutely. And I have no doubt, Preston. So I like to start things off by asking a simple question of all of our guests, and it can create some pretty interesting answers. But the question is this: how did you first get started in sales?
You know, I love sales. So I believe sales is life. And so I'm a super sales nerd, but I got started actually clear back. My very first business was that I started in sales by myself was in second grade. And so I was trying to sell candy, to the kids. And I realized that the kids were cared, more about one piece of candy than they did a quarter. And that was a lot of money back in second grade to me. And so I'd buy these, the trendiest bulk candy. And I'd get the bag for like $2, and then I'd sell them off like a quarter, and I'd make like $5. And I thought I was rich, as a second grader. And so that was my first business idea. But from then, I kind of got the bug, and I just kept starting to, build things and design things and sell things to people. And it really created a gateway to an entrepreneurial journey for me.
Yep, no doubt. Now I know you're a car guy, so I have to ask a little bit about the car experience. You built, really starting from scratch with your own personal vehicle that you decided you were going to turn into a business. You built it into multiple car dealerships. Tell us a little bit about that journey. I know people love hearing those types of growth stories. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a kid trying to figure out how to pay for college, like a lot of people are. You look at student debt these days, that's a big topic, right? Well, I was determined to pay my way through school. And so I was trying to figure out how to do it. And ever since I was a kid, I was a baby, I was 2 years old, I was a car nut. And so I was like, well, why don't I do what I love? And, I had always bought and sold cars so I could get a cooler car ever since I could drive. And so I was like, I'm going to try and buy and sell a car. So I started with one $1,600 car, and bought it at the auction. I got 10 minutes out of the auction. The thing overheated. I didn't even have enough profit to tow it home or to do anything. So it took 5 hours to get home, drive it like 5 minutes and then wait a half hour for it to cool down. But I got it home and I fixed it and I reinvested in myself. And I kept doing that over and over again. And then I got to 2 cars, and I kept reinvesting in myself. And then I got to 10 cars, and I started a car dealership, and I started 2 car dealerships. And then, it just kind of snowballed from there. And through my career, I owned 15 car dealerships. I ran up to 9 of them at the same time, and I had multiple verticals like finance company, paint shop, mechanic shop, and all these different things that came from that. But yeah, that taught me how all the nuts and bolts of that journey of how to grow a business, how to go from 1 to 2 people, or 2 to 10 people, or 1 to 2 locations, or 1 to 2 businesses. It's that next step, that we always have to do. 1 to 2 sales, whatever it is that people have to get that next goal. We have this evolution that we go through as entrepreneurs or business owners. And so that's what started me out on mine.
Yep. Oh, that's a great story. And it's a great entrepreneurial story to understand that even when you have a passion and you think you have a plan, things change and you figure out how to overcome the adversity, how to deal with this next problem. And then all of a sudden you start building some momentum. And it's exciting to hear those stories because I think so many people might be in that stage where they're starting something or they're they're overheating. Their business might be overheating right now, and they're trying to figure out, what do I got to do? Do I keep going? Do I pull it off to the side of the road and wait and kind of plan it out? I mean, it's an important part of the journey for every entrepreneur. Now,
Yeah.
one of the things that has always impressed me about you, Preston, and I've gotten to know you a little bit over the years. One of the things that's really impressed me about you has been that you are a systems guy too. Like, you're a guy who, before you even before you pretty much look at anything, you start system building. You start looking at steps and what is required to kind of get there. So for our listeners, for the entrepreneurs, coaches, or consultants, or people that are out there selling, talk about the importance of systems, because I know they've had a major impact on your success, and I know people would love to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I describe myself as an intensely logical, creative person. And so I do, my brain thinks in systems where I connect these creative ideas, put them down into ideas and logical boxes where we can take, a process. My first taste of that as an entrepreneur was actually when I was trying to build my car dealerships and I read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And it's a fantastic book about the whole idea of basically systematizing your business into what would be a franchise model so you can make replicable processes. But I love that. And you go back to the McDonald's model, Ray Kroc, and essentially putting it in crude terms, it's to build systems where you can employ any person in any situation. And if you have that, then you can employ everyone. You can hire from any pool of people. Your operating costs are lower, your opportunity to give opportunities higher, and you can make everything work better, and you can expand. And so that always fascinated me, and that got me set off. So I thought, how do I do that in my own company? So I started building that. And then when COVID hit, everything kind of hit the fan, and the retail and the face-to-face changed, but that created this adoption of online, right? And that is really where the system today can be super applicable. And I get into two systems. I get into mental systems, thought systems, for people, and then, physical systems, digital systems, ways to handle flows, marketing, product, and content. Because my theme for this year is touchless processing. So I don't want to. I want to I want to look at every aspect of work in my company and go, how do I not have to actually physically deal with that aspect of it? How can I remove myself from it and either make a process that I can train someone who's, like a really easily trainable staff? It's not a complicated process, or I can put digital, reminders, automations, AI, and things like that, and that's super powerful. Because if we do that, I don't want to take away jobs, but we can actually refocus the manpower that you have to create a quality experience for the customer instead of doing the 80% of the work in your business. It's this minutia, the stuff that you have to do to get to the 20% that actually makes the money. It's the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, right?
Absolutely. And that's such a powerful statement for every entrepreneur that's out there who's in that battle right now, because as entrepreneurs go, and this as well, and we interact with a lot of them, many people spend their time in that 80% and not enough time in the 20. And then they look at the results and they go, if I was only able to do this and this and this, and what you're talking about is creating powerful systems to deal with the 80 so you can spend your time on the 20. And that's a game changer for entrepreneurs. They have to figure out mentally, emotionally, and physically how to do that as soon as they can, because that's when the tide turns. That's when things start getting to be a lot of fun. And I know this has been a journey for you, and it started even prior to COVID. And to throw out, shameless plug for your book, How to Be Up and Down Times, right? You kind of got ahead of that, talking about how you need to look at things when things aren't going the way you'd like them to go, how you need to maintain your energy level and stay up when things aren't going the way they're going. And talk a little bit about that, because I know that's the basis of everything that you're doing right now, keeping that right approach.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you, for mentioning my book. And I've been, lucky enough to be someone that looks ahead in business, and that's been a big asset that I've been able to bring into the companies I've been involved with, because I can look ahead and look at a lot of different trends and put those things together and kind of make sense of what's going to happen in the world or in things like that. And most of my predictions have actually been incredibly right. But that was why I wrote the book. Like you said, wrote the book, How to Be Up and Down Times, because I thought, the things that are happening are going to cause people to feel a lot of pressure. And just like you mentioned earlier, all entrepreneurs go through challenges. We go through challenges. Sometimes people go through a point in their life or their career, we all do, where you feel like you want to stop, or feel like you want to quit, or you feel like you want to give up, or you get to that point where you go, sales aren't converting. Like, what's happening? Should I just stop? What? And entrepreneurs and business owners need to be resilient. You need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in yourself so much that people can feel it, when they come around you. And so that's what I do. That's my passion, is to train people, to be that person from the inside out, because that's what it's about, to connect everything together and connect everything, as a system, right? Because you're part of the system. You are your product, essentially, in a company. And so if you're not in alignment with what you're delivering personally, people are going to see that. People are super responsive to the way you send out your message, and they can feel that. And so if you believe in yourself or you don't believe in yourself, they're going to see it when you say it, and they're going to feel that. And if you don't believe in yourself, then they're going to start questioning you. And then you go, oh, why does everyone question me? Why is everyone always concerned about why I can't close this deal? Or because self-doubt comes through. I used to run an energy company. I was the chief operating officer for a renewable energy company, and we successfully sold it in 2019. But I learned that, we're energy generators. Like, as people, like, we consume, and we have, like, food comes in, we turn it into actual energy, like in our body, like we're like a generator, like a machine. But it doesn't leave. Our skin's not a barrier. It's not a stop, to that. So our energy is carried out by the way we look and feel and show up around the people that we interact with. And so, I mean, that's, if you want to talk about impact in sales, if you want to make an impact, be in alignment with yourself when you deliver what you say you're delivering. And one thing that was interesting the other day, I had a client that was so excited and sent me this nice message and said, oh, you made me cry 3 times because you did this and did this and this. All I do is what I say I'm going to do, which is so amazing, because that's all you actually need to do today. To be amazing in your industry is just do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you're going to do. If you can do that, then people are going to be happy with you, and they're going to love what you're going to do. And, and then you get more sales, and it keeps growing and snowballing.
No doubt about it. One of the things that I talk a lot about on the show, and I, it's the basis for my business model and how I look at sales. In today's world, value, the concept of value has become very commoditized. And, I mean by that, when I say commoditized, people expect it. There's an expectation that they're getting value. I mean, we live in a day and age where people can find 1,000 different options for everything just on their smartphone. So they expect value. But what makes the difference? And you just talked about one of those impact points, is how do you stand out? It's when you deliver true impact, when you do exactly what you say you were going to do, when you stand up and deliver. And also when you make a true connection with people on more of an emotional level. Like, I talk a lot about the psychology of impact versus value. Impact is an emotional decision. It's not based in logic. And sales is an emotional decision. Now, logic reinforces it, but true impact is all about the emotion behind it, how you feel, how they feel, what the general feeling is of the relationship. And this might be a great time just to talk a little bit about one of your companies, Formula EQ, and the amazing work that you're doing in that regard, because you went to work on the idea of how people feel about things, in a big way. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, I love, your discussion on value, because that's what it's about. And if you have a product, and here's one thing I see all the time that's a big fatal mistake with companies, is they may have an awesome product, but they don't. So I was a communications major, so I graduated, and one of the things I studied was communications. I love how people communicate and how they interact. And those are kind of some of the things that I teach at Formula EQ. But communicating value, people don't actually communicate the value of what they do as a service. They communicate what they do, which is different from communicating the value. And the truth is, no one cares what you do. No one cares what you do unless they're your friend, And I get 10,000 messages on LinkedIn a day, saying, "Oh, I do this and I do that and I do that." I go, "Good for you." But they're not telling me my value. But then I'll have a message and I'll say, "Hey, I can, I see that you're running, this Formula EQ Academy and you're inspiring the world and it's amazing. You know, I can bring you 10 more new, people in your academy every single week. Let me know if you want to talk." Boom. I see the value. I go, okay, 10 more people in my academy every week would show up in my life as this value. I see that. I get that. I'm actually interested. How does this person do it? How does it, how I want to talk to them. I want to know. But if you're an AI optimization, blah blah blah, if you're a Google, blah, 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 like that's cool, And if I'm already moving that way, then maybe I'll bite. But I love that you bring up the value, because value is what connects. And when you talk about sales, and value is what converts, value is what hits the impact. And if you speak value, I've got a training program, so I build. We talked about automation. I love building automated systems that also deliver the product too. So I use automated systems to help support actually some of the product delivery, or taking off some of the load off my back, so that I can help serve my people at top level, but also run like 7 or 10 companies at the same time. And so, I can multiply myself. I read the 4 Hour Work Week, and I thought, oh, that's awesome. I love that idea. But like, I'm a pretty active person. I'm not going to sit there the rest of the week. So I combine that with Grant Cardone's 10X, and I do a 400-hour work week. And, but that's more my style. But you can do that through systems and automation and things like that. But yeah, connecting that value and that that physical connection. Going back to what you said about Formula EQ, humans are all the same. So people focus too much on the differences of people. They focus on, race, religion, gender, sex, geographic location, income, and those are all things that divide, people on some level, benchmarks. But the human experience is the same, and it doesn't matter where you live or who you are, or what you believe or what you think. Everyone feels excitement. Everyone feels sadness. Everyone feels pain. Everyone feels love and loss. And those are common with the human experience. And so if you go back to it and tie that idea back into sales, and you go, okay, how do I connect with everyone? How do I connect with the human experience? How do I connect with that human level, of people, and strip back everything else, and really, get down to that. But those are some of the things that I dive into and study with Formula EQ. And but the more you can know where you're going, it's great with people. But also you can come back to that base core of humanity and go, okay, you know how do people feel, when they interact with this? What are the results they're going to get from this? Or how do I make a change in the people that I interact with life? And if you can deliver that, then people are going to love you.
Yeah. And that's such an important point. One of the things that we talk about a lot, and it's so true. This is just such a crazy, noisy, and crowded world. You go online, and you're one voice of a countless number of voices. And to really stand out, to really be memorable, to stand out and to make a difference, you have to figure out ways of, first getting people's attention. But beyond just that, you have to figure out how to become a trusted advisor. You have to figure out how to endear yourself to people so that they look at you as somebody that they can count on as a trusted advisor, no matter what your specialty is, right? And sales is a large part of that, and I talk about it all the time, how people are going to work with you if they know, like, and trust you, no matter what you offer, no matter what your product or service or offering is. If people know, like, and trust you, you're going to find people that are going to want to work with you. But the goal shouldn't just be to get them to work with you. The goal should be to position yourself as that trusted advisor, that person that's kind of in the inner circle of their world. And I know you've done a great job in your businesses in positioning yourself and your teams as trusted advisors to your clients. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, it is. It's huge, and I love that you brought that topic up because when we go through, you look back, it's more important than ever. It's always been important to have trust and authenticity, but you go back and you look through what people have been through in the past 2 years, and you go, they've been through confusion. Doesn't matter where they've been through, what they believe in. They've been through confusion. They've been through kind of deception. They've been through separation. They've been through a lot of mixed messaging on all sorts of levels, on different things. And so what's happened is when people are isolated and all these different things happen, there's been a breakdown of trust. Just generically, like it's harder. Like, how do I tell who I trust? How do I know who to work with? Like, how do I know they're gonna not steal my credit card information or whatever? Or whatever. There's all these things, right? With trust, or do I know if people are saying what they're saying? So authenticity for me is we're in the age of authenticity, and I think the old days of sales were that shiny salesperson with the suit on, and you're gonna get your new car, kind of a thing. And that was the days of the past. And now it's because of that, and because of what's happened with humanity, because of what's happened with people. People want that connection. People want that rawness. People want to see you for who you are. And so to build that trust, you really need to be authentic. And the deeper set of authenticity is vulnerability. And if you can hit that level, with a client and still keep respect, then you'll gain trust. You'll gain that trust, I think, with the client.
Oh, no doubt. And as an extension of that, it's genuine vulnerability. It's the real authentic vulnerability, not the stuff that sometimes is portrayed the wrong way in the media or on social media. Like, sometimes people take vulnerability as a marketing tool, and that's not what you're referring to. I know you're referring to genuine vulnerability, where you truly make a connection to people. And that brings along a lot of things with it. It brings relatability. There's a relationship that's established. It does draw you closer to your clients and your prospects because they get to know you. One of the things that multiple people have shared on my podcast, has been that it's amazing the percentages of people that are involved in sales who aren't memorable to their prospects and clients. The number is sometimes 60, 70% of the average salesperson that people interact with are not memorable. And that just underlines in bold how important it is to do what you just described. Because if you don't, you're not memorable. You're just one of 1,000 voices. You're no different than these other people. And I know, you and I have had the opportunity, and you're one of the most genuine people that I've gotten to know, and I've been able to see a little bit behind the scenes in how you've created, one of the systems that you had created. And the piece that I don't talk about, I referenced that I saw it, but the piece that I don't talk about was the degree by which you were thinking through what the other person was seeing and experiencing. And it was something that you and I didn't really talk about, but I noticed this because it was so genuine and so real. We were talking about some things in a studio setting, but it was, you were really focused on what people were seeing and what their reactions were, not so much what was on the camera, more so what the reaction was. And that truly is a servant's heart. That's somebody who's trying to see through that other person's eyes. So it reinforces everything that you just talked about. And, I never shared that with you, but it was one of the things that I picked up on that I found so impressive, because when you're able to find those things out in the real world, they're it's so genuine and real that it's like a magnet. It draws you in because it is so genuine and real. Just like when it's not, and you know this, you've seen plenty of examples when it's staged or not real, it has that repelling effect. It's like two magnets bouncing off of each other, right? Um, Tell me your thoughts on that, because I know you and I, we come at this from a couple of different angles, but I know you have some thoughts on that idea.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up too, because I do, and I've actually always kind of tried to approach things from the customer direction, and so I even did it from my car experience, where every time we list ads, I'm a car buyer, so I go, okay, how do I look at it from a buyer? Like, what are my concerns as a buyer? If I can overcome those things, then I think I'll overcome most things that people will be scared of to work with me. Yeah, and so I look at it that way, and you can do those types of things. One thing that was interesting, that's a thing I did once, that's in a sales setting. There was a crisis management that flipped a customer by aligning with their experience and creating an authentic experience with them, and acknowledging what was happening. Because okay, so car sales, people hate you sometimes. So all cars break. I sold used cars. They're all broken on some level because they're not new. They're used. So some things worn out or broken. It's just they all work, to a certain extent, and I try and be honest and represent them. But anyway, person comes back. She's mad. No salespeople can deal with this lady. So Preston, you got to take this one. I can't do it anymore. So I said, okay, come in, but watch. So she comes in. My sales guy sitting in the corner. She gets to the office and she walks in. She's super mad in my office. She goes, I've been dealing with this. This is this problem. I've talked to this sales guy over and over. Blah, blah, blah. She's yelling at me. I go, that sounds terrible. I can't believe you've had to deal with that. All of a sudden, I'm not fighting her anymore. And I connected with her on a human level to acknowledge, like, yeah, that's super crappy what you've been through. I'm sorry about that. And she thought I was going to come in and negotiate with her. And so, it totally repositioned the situation. It put me in a situation where I was able to renegotiate with her, and we solved the issue, and she was a super happy client. And my sales guy's going, that was like voodoo magic. Like, what'd you do? And I go, well, I just aligned, with her. Like, I just was human. I go, I don't need to be me. I don't need to force like my agenda. Yeah, of course I don't want to pay to fix her car, but like she's got an issue and I need to like connect with her, on that level. And so, that's with someone there's a problem. She already had my client, but you can do that with people that don't have your product and do the same thing.
That's great. That is great stuff. Now, one of the questions, Preston, I always like to ask accomplished entrepreneurs, people that have done a lot of different things, because our audience is mixed and we hear people in all kinds of different scenarios. If you had to wipe the slates clean and start all over again as an entrepreneur, what would be the two things that you would absolutely have to get right? Like, what are the two things that you just have to nail to be successful?
So yeah, if I had two things I could do perfect again, I would want to be better at filling my gaps. So I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm pretty good at figuring things out, but that also is a problem because I would take on too much as an entrepreneur, and I would do things I should never be doing ever. If someone else should be doing that, and we're all familiar with that. We go, oh, that thing we dread, that thing we hate, the thing we're slow at, you go, oh, I'll just do this to save myself money, or I'll just do this to get it done, or whatever. And so I'd focus on filling the gaps of what I'm not, recognizing what I am and where I'm not, and being able to fill those as I grow, with people that are different than me. Don't hire the same person as yourself. Hire the person that's the gap, that you need in your business. So that would be one. And then two, I didn't believe it when I was little, but then I learned it when I got older. And surround yourself by the people you want to be like. It's that old adage, but they say you become the person, the 5 people you surround yourself and the books you read, you'd be the same person you are today as you are in 5 years, except for the 5 people you surround yourself with and the books you read. And I think Charlie Tremendous Jones said that. And but it's true, that sphere of influence has a major impact on your life. And if you want to change your life, change your sphere of influence. It'll change the way you think. It'll change what you're exposed to. It'll change your optics, because the difference isn't the ability level, it's the optics. It's what you can see, and I can't see everything. That's why we all need support. That's why I hire coaches to coach me, and I coach people, because I can't see everything. I can only see like right here. you know I can't see right here. If I put my hands, I would see it. But yeah, but so I need someone looking behind me to watch my back, so I can see everything I can possibly see, get every advantage I can get, and surround myself with the people that I want to be like, so I end up like them and live like them and create the life I want to live. That's what it's about.
That's great. Great stuff, Preston. So, we're just about out of time. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can text me. I'll give you a free gift. Anyone that texts me, I'll give you some free stuff if you text Preston, Preston, to the number 321-421-5213. It's 321-421-5213. So pull out your phone, text me right now. I'll hook you up, get you some invitations to some awesome events and some different things. But it's my mission to make an impact in people's lives. So if people want to get personal training, you can go to formulaeq.com. EQ is an emotional intelligence, the emotional quotient, like the IQ. So formulaeq.com or Operations X, and we'll build your business. But thank you, Joe, for having me. I appreciate you and everything that you're up to.
No,
And
I appreciate it. The the pleasure has been all mine. So, once again, my guest today, Preston Weekes, Formula EQ, Operations X. You definitely want to follow him. It's been great having you on the Impact Sales Podcast today, Preston. I like to wrap up every show by saying this: sell better and impact the world. We'll take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, this is Joe Beck with The Sales Activist. Are you an entrepreneur, a coach, or a consultant who's struggling to generate consistent and dynamic sales success in your business? You know what I'm talking about. Are you scrambling to try to find your next deal, your next bit of revenue? If you are, I'd like to help. For well over 30 years, I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs and sales professionals create consistent and dynamic sales momentum in their business. If you're struggling out there, I can help. You can schedule a complimentary impact sales strategy session with me just by texting the word sales to the number 321-421-5213. That's sales to 321-421-5213. You don't have to settle for average sales results. Talk to you soon.